Yeah, thanks for joining the meeting. So, yeah, so today's topic is probability and its application in combinatorics. So, like usually we used to see the other way around, like it used to be combinatorics and then probability. Just one second, I'll just check. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So it used to be like we used to use some kind of combinatorics and used to solve our probability problems, but today we'll be looking at the opposite direction. So towards that, I want to first establish some basics, okay, which I hope you guys will anyway learn this semester, as most of you will have probability course. But still, like it's quite simple. Like some of you might know it, so they can just bear with me for say next 10-15 minutes, and then I'll jump to one example. So in probability, we have sample space. Okay, so say if you take an example of dice, your sample space is basically the output which you get, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now you have some events. So any subset of this sample space is called event. So say in terms of dice, say uh, an event can be number is odd. So it's nothing but here a will be equal to 1, 2, sorry, 1, 3, and 5. So this is an event. Okay. And what is probability? So basically, probability is actually a function from the sample space to this interval 0, comma 1 with a condition that for all x belonging to the sample space, probability of x, if you sum it up, that should be equal to 1. So this is your definition of probability. Okay. So up to here, it's pretty basic, like it's quite standard even in JEE and stuff. So after this, I'll introduce something which is called random variable. So, so random variable is also pretty simple. So it's a function basically from your sample space to the real numbers. Okay. So so basically, uh, so it sort of assigns a number to your sample space elements. So let us take an example of dice itself. So so you can keep, say your dice has sample space. Okay, just one second. So your dice has the sample space as I told before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then random variable we can define, like this is just an example. So we can define this function x, and where x1 can be 1, x2 can be 0, x3 can be 1, x4 can be 0, x5 can be 1, x6 can be 0. This can be any values. You have to choose one particular function, and that function is called a random variable. Okay. Okay. So I hope it's clear till now. Otherwise, you can stop me in between and ask like if there is any confusion. So why do we introduce this? Like it's little bit convenient. Like okay, so when we write, what is the probability that the number on the dice is an odd number. Okay. So, like, while explaining it's fine, like probability of so and so event, but we want to write it concisely in mathematical ways. Okay. So, so we write, so we can write in this fashion. So we can write that if you use this example, what is the probability that x is equal to 1? Okay. So when is x is equal to 1? When the numbers are odd. Okay. You can clearly observe. So a very concise way of writing the same thing is when is x is equal to 1. Okay. So this is the like example, like sort of the main example why we use random variables. Okay. So again, if we recollect, so as I told, so it is a function from, so this is a random variable. So so this is the type of question we ask. Okay. So let us define it mathematically. What do we mean by this? Okay. So for that, let me write some stuff below. So you all know what x inverse s is. So basically, like these are inverse of the function. So x inverse x is basically this, like all say something. So some okay. So something like this. All elements of this sample space such that x of omega is s. So this is the inverse function. Like this is also like people study in JE. So so this probability is nothing but the probability. So you observe that this is an event. Okay. So this probability is nothing but probability of this particular event. So which is nothing but probability of x inverse s. And what is probability of x inverse s? Like it's nothing but like this. So all omega belonging to x minus x inverse s, probability of omega. So this is the definition of probability x belongs to s. So is it clear till now, whatever I wrote? Or does anyone has any query? They can ask. So can someone respond?
Yeah.
So it's clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, just stop me if there is any issue. So this is the definition of probability x is equal to s. So this is mathematical definition. Intuitively, just check like for which like what is the probability that x is equal to 1. So you just check which elements of sample space give me 1 and just sum of the probabilities of those elements. So that's the intuitive definition. Okay. So let me go to the next page. Okay. Now we'll introduce one concept called expectation of a random variable. So, given a probability function and a random variable, we like intuitively we would try to find out like what is the most likely value. Yeah, so what is the most likely value of x? Like intuitively we would like to know. So towards that, we will establish something called expectation of x. the definition is pretty simple. So, okay, so yeah, yeah. So, okay, so let me just take you back. Okay. Okay, so for now, just assume that this function x. Just give me one second. Okay. Just, okay, so we know that this function x is basically from the sample space to real number. So you'll have its range. So range of x. So range of x is all such possible values which x can take. Okay, as per our function. So let us represent range of x by some meaningful notation. Let it be say a. So let a be the range of x. Okay, so just for convenience sake. Then expectation of x is nothing but this summation. This summation. X belongs to a, where a is the range of this x. Probability of x equal to x times x, and you do the summation. So let us use the dice example. Okay, so for dice, like usual, for normal dice which is unbiased, we know, say, the probability of any number is say 1/6. Okay, so we can define the random variable. Let us define this random variable. X of 1 is 1, x of x of 2 is 2, and say x of 6 is 6. So basically x of that, so basically x of I is I. Okay, so this is our random variable. So the question I'm asking is, what is expectation of x? So this is nothing but probability that x is equal to 1 times 1 plus probability that x is equal to 2 times 2 up to probability that x is equal to 6 times 6. So in our case, every probability is same. So we'll have 1/6 times 1 plus 1/6 times 2 up to 1/6 times 6. So this will be 3.5. Okay. So since every probability is same, this is nothing but average. But if you can have unbiased dice also, like the dice, these probabilities might be different for every number. So in that case, the expectation will change. But I hope through this you get an idea what expectation of x means actually. So I hope the definition is clear. I'll rewrite it again. So expectation of x is probability that x is equal to x times x. So a is the range of x. So I hope it's clear. So does anyone have any doubt in this expectation definition?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Why do we multiply by x in the summation? I mean, I don't
That's the
understand.
definition. Like you can, okay, so that's the definition. You can assume that. So what's the probability of x? So basically, what is expectation of x saying? Like intuitively, what is my most likely value of x? Okay, this is what we are trying to find. Okay,
No, so expect.
yeah.
Excuse me. Like, I just want to answer the question. Like, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
expectation is just the average, right? It's just
Weighted
what
average
is
you can
average?
say.
Like sum by n. So if we just write
Yeah.
it
Weighted
halfly,
average.
it's just x into 1 by n and just summing it. So 1 by n is like the probability of this element in some sense. Expectation
No,
is just, yeah.
that is
So
only when you
weighted
are
average.
assuming every event to be equally likely, right? If the probability differs for 1, 2, 3, then it won't be average
Yeah, so it's
exactly.
sort of, yeah, it's not, it won't be average, but
Yeah.
you can consider
Yeah,
it to be
in
something
some
like
sense it's
weighted
an
average.
average.
Like we
Yeah,
can
Madhu?
think of this way that if we repeat like if we repeat it experiment enough number of times, then this is the most like per turn, this is the value of x which we are going to get, or something like that, maybe. Like generally we think of it this way that suppose there is a dice and
Yeah. So what? So basically, what you are telling is, say you do the experiments 1,000 times and you average the values which you get. So that is in a way your expectation of x actually. So
yeah.
that's what Madhusudan was trying to say actually. So if say so like say if your dice is very skewed, like if your like the probability of getting 1 is 0.99, then your expectation will be like very close to 1 actually. So that's what you can do the summation and check, you'll get like very close to 1. So this just giving me an idea what will be the most likely value of x, and this is how it is defined actually, which is quite intuitive also, like because if you take in terms of experiments, say you do 1,000 times, you experiment and you say you get say 500 times 1, and say 500 times you get 2, and rest number you get 0, then basically what will be the average, like 500 times 1 plus 500 times 2 by 1,000, which is nothing but half times 1 plus half times 2. Half is your probability of getting 1 and half is your probability of getting 2, which exactly sort of matches with this idea of the definition. So I hope you get the idea why the definition of expectation was chosen in this way.
Yeah, I understood. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is the definition of expectation. So before we go to the problem which we are looking at, like which will be a simple problem, let us consider this one small okay. So these are important, some properties of expectation of x. Okay, I won't be giving the proof, but if you want I can refer you to the proof. Okay. Okay, so if you have say okay, so say, okay, I should tell before that, I shouldn't be jumping, but okay, so your this x actually can be sum of different functions, which is possible, like even in other functions also. So this can be sum of some functions actually. So if you apply expectation of x, okay, then it will be equal to this actually. So this is this so this is like, okay, there is a proof for this, but I'm not going to discuss it right now, but if you want I can refer you to that. A more general version is like, obviously along with summation it can come with some coefficient also, like, so your function can be sum of combination of some other functions in this fashion. So your expectation of x will be a1 times ex1 plus a2 times ex2 up to an times ex. So this is called linearity of expectation, and this has huge application. Like even some of you might be interested in coding and stuff, so even there also this concept arises actually, linearity of expectation. So this will be one of the key properties which we'll be using to solve our problem. Okay, this is one property. Okay. Second property is, say you have an random variable, okay, x, which takes only two values, like it takes either 1 or 0. Okay, only two values. So if your expectation of x is less than 1, okay, then what does this imply? This implies that probability of x equal to 0 is greater than 0. This is quite straightforward. Otherwise, if probability of x equal to 0 was 0, then expectation of x would be 1 times 1 plus 0 times 0, which is 1. So this is another key property which we'll be using. And this type of random variables are called indicators, actually. Indicator variables. No need to remember the name, but I'm just specifying the property. So is everything fine till now? These are just definitions. If you want to just see it again, you can see it. This has a proof. If you want, you can ping me. I'll refer you to the proof. Proof will be quite good, actually. You should actually go through the proofs. Or in a probability course, I don't know whether they'll make you go through the proofs or not. But going through such proofs should be good, actually. You must go and check what is the actual definition, like one proper definition. Like the definition which I gave for x, even every professor gives the same definition, but there are some good books which actually give the actual definition of probability, random variables, expectation, and all. So this is the sort of introduction to probability. So this is the end of part 1. So this is the part 2. Application in combinatorics. Okay. So we'll be looking at one particular problem. Okay. And we'll be looking at one problem and we'll try to solve it using the concepts which we saw till now. Okay, so the problem is as follows. So let F be the family of subsets. Okay. So before that I must tell my universe. So you have an universe. So universe, you can say, is some collection of some elements. Okay. In our case, you can consider to be a finite collection of numbers. Okay. Yeah. And F is a family of subsets. Means basically it is a collection of subsets such that this is a subset of this universe, actually. So AI is a subset of U and of subset, or a collection of subsets. Now a restriction which we impose is this is strictly equal to k. Okay, some number k. So the number of elements in this subset AI is equal to k. This is for all I. This is for all I between 1 and L. So we have L subsets, and this is for all I between 1 and L. Okay. So the problem statement which we are trying to prove is, okay, so before that, beta I will tell. So what we can do, to each, so we have this universal set. Okay, so this is the universal set, which is a finite collection of elements. So what we can do, we can color each element with either blue or red. Okay, so we can color each element with either blue or red. Okay, and then let's observe A1, A2 and AL. Okay, suppose all the elements, since they are a subset of U, they will be colored with some color. If all the color is same, then we say it as monochromatic. Okay, so yeah, so this is if monochromatic, if all elements in A1 have the same color. Okay, so this is called so this is the definition of monochromatic. Okay, now we chose one particular coloring. Okay, so coloring means assigning color to each element. Okay, and obviously AI is not monochromatic if all elements in A1 don't have the same color. Okay, so the question is so if the size of the family of subsets is less than 2 to the power k minus 1, that is, so there are in total L subsets in this family. So that is, if L is less than 2 to the power k minus 1, then we can color U in such a way that no subset in F is monochromatic. Obviously, getting a monochromatic coloring for every subset is quite easy. Like, color each and every element of U with a single color, and yeah, there you have a monochromatic coloring. But the question which I'm asking is, if you have less than 2 to the power k minus 1 subsets in that collection, then we can color that set U of elements in such a way that no subset in F is monochromatic. So before proceeding to the proof, I'm sure some of you might have doubts in problem statement. So if anyone has, they can ask, because it's important to get the problem statement clear in first place. So you can ask me the problem, like any part, if it's not clear.
Can you explain the last part?
Which one? This one? This one? The statement,
Yes,
you
sir.
mean? Or monochromatic? Monochromatic is fine, right?
Yes, that monochromatic is fine in the statement.
Okay. Okay, let me use an example, then it will be clear. Say your universe is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And say, just for the sake of simplicity, your K is say 4, like not 4. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, say. Okay, just 1 second. Let me frame a proper example. Fine. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Let K be equal to 3. Okay. Then and my family of subsets. Let it
Is
be.
K arbitrary number?
Huh? What?
Is K arbitrary number? I mean, like the choice of K.
Yeah, yeah. K is arbitrary. It's not. It's arbitrary number. But obviously, K has to be less than or equal to the number of elements in U. Obviously, because each subset will have exactly K elements. So you can't have more elements than U. So let's choose. Okay. So what is 2 to the power 3 minus 1? Which is 4. So we should have less than 4. Okay. So let's choose 3 subsets. So let's choose, say, 1, 2, 3. Let's choose 4, 5, 6, and then let's choose 6, 7, 8. Okay. So this is our family of subsets. Okay. Now I want to color each number, say, with either red or blue. Okay. So what I am claiming is, we can find one coloring such that every color in each subset is not same actually. So let me show one example. Like, say you color this by red, then this by blue, this by red, then this by red, blue, red, and then blue, blue. Then what will be the colors of elements in this set? R, B, R. Here we will be having R, B, R, and we'll be having R, B, B. So each set in F is not monochromatic. So we have shown that there is a coloring. So this is the coloring. Okay. So this is the coloring. So there is a coloring such that each set will be non-monochromatic. So what I am trying to show is that if the size of the family is 2 to the power k minus 1, that is you have, sorry, less than it. That is you have less than 2 to the power k minus 1 subsets, then you can color the elements of U such that every subset in F is not monochromatic. So this is what we are trying to prove. So I hope the problem statement is clear, right? So whoever asked it out, is it clear now?
In the example you gave, if we take a subset of 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah. Say okay. So then we have to go for a different coloring. But the question is, there will be one such coloring. So if we go for 1, 3, and 4, okay, then we have to change, say, this R to B. Then it will become R, B, R. So whatever way, yeah. So whatever way you try to construct this F, I can always give you one coloring such that this sets won't be monochromatic.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
you got
can
the
we say that
yeah.
if L is greater than equal to 2 power k minus 1, then
yeah.
however we color
we
the U, we will get at least one subset which is monochromatic.
No, it's not guaranteed like that, but you can construct some examples where you can't get this color. You
Okay.
got my point, right? Like yeah, like obviously I can give you some simple examples, like I can construct sets such that no two sets have common elements, and then you can get a coloring which you decide. But that's not the converse of this statement. It might happen that you might come up with one particular example where I might not be able to color in such a way. So that is the meaning which you are trying to convey, basically. So I hope everyone is on the same page, I guess. I hope you understood the problem which we are trying to solve here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So now let's now proceed to the proof. So ideally, so let's think from a normal person's perspective. Okay, normal person. Okay, someone who doesn't know probability. Okay, so he'll try to come up with some method to color. Like he'll try to come up with a method to color and show that this coloring will achieve what we want. Okay, but we are not normal people because we know probability now. Okay, and what we need to show is that there is one such coloring. And we are not bothered with actually finding the coloring. Finding the coloring is also easy, but I won't go into that. But we are just concerned with saying that there is one such coloring. Okay. Okay. So let's now begin the proof. Okay. So you have your okay. So you have your universe. Okay. Okay. So you have some elements, say A1 up to AN. Okay, fine. So this is the universe, and you're given a K. Okay. And then you're given a family A1 up to some AL, and L is less than 2 to the power K minus 1. Okay. So let's now define some random variable. Okay. So let xi, okay. So let xi be the random variable such that xi is equal to 1 when the subset AI is monochromatic. Monochromatic, or should I go for just give me 1 second. Yeah, fine. It's just give me 1 second. Just thinking. Yeah, fine. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So yeah, fine. So let's use these random variables. Okay. So here I'm okay. So monochromatic. So basically, say you do some coloring. Okay. Then xi will tell me xi will be 1 when this AI will be monochromatic. Otherwise, xi will be 0. Okay. So this is how we are defining our random variable. Okay. Mathematically, you can define. I'm just defining it in terms of words actually. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So this is one part, and then just 1 second. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay. just 1 second. I want to take one mid break. There's some work. Just 1 second. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay, let's resume. Okay, fine. Okay. So yeah, maybe we were here. Okay, so okay, let's go to the next page. So basically, let me repeat what I said. So we had this subset of like we have this family of subsets. Okay, and I'm defining this random variable xi, which will be 1 if AI is monochromatic, and will be 0 if AI is not monochromatic. Okay, and then obviously x equal to summation from I is equal to 1 to L xi. So this will give me the number of monochromatic members or monochromatic members or subsets in F. Okay. Okay, so this is what we'll get. Okay, so fine. So now how do we define the probability space, like the space which we're having? So it's pretty simple. So what you do, so you have these elements, right, in this U. So each element you color with R with probability half and with blue with probability half. So probability, so if you take any element, probability that AI's color is equal to R is half, and probability that AI's color is equal to blue is half. So we are so this is the way, so we are randomly coloring U, and this is the probability of coloring each element. Okay, we are coloring with half probability. So randomly coloring. Okay. So this is now where I would like to involve you guys. So okay. So can someone tell me what will be expectation of xi? So if you recollect, xi was 1 if AI was monochromatic and 0 otherwise. So what is the expectation of xi? So we can, so xi, since it's taking two values, it will be 1 times probability that xi is equal to 1 plus 0 times probability that xi is equal to 0. Now since 0 times 0 is something, 0 times something is 0, so we'll ignore this. And 1 times probability is just probability of xi equal to 1. So basically, we want to know probability of xi equal to 1, which is nothing but probability of AI being monochromatic, which means probability that all colors are same. So what is the probability? So remember that we are coloring each element in U with half probability, like same probability. Half probability we are coloring red and half probability we are coloring with blue, each element. And there are in AI, remember there are k elements. Okay. So what will be this probability? Can someone tell me?
2 by 2 power k.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it will be 2 by 2 to
1
the
by
power k. So no, 2 by 2 to the power k, because
I meant to say 1 by 2 power k minus 1.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So 2 by why 2 to the power 2 by k, because 1 by 2 to the power k will get from red and 1 by 2 to the power k will get from blue. So this is the probability of coloring each element with R, and this is the probability that each element is colored with blue. So hence we'll have 1 by 2 to the power k minus 1. Okay. So this is what we have, and so we get expectation of xi is 1 by 2 to the power k minus 1 for all I. So this is symbol for all I less than equal to L. Okay. So this is what we get. Okay. So we recollect, we had this, which is number of monochromatic subsets. So I told that formula, which is this thing. So sorry, this will be L. Yeah. So now this, what is this expectation? This holds for all I. So this will be L times 2 to the power k minus 1. Okay. So we have expectation of x to be L times 2 to the power k minus 1. And we assume that we start that L is less than 2 to the power k minus 1. Hence, this will be less than 1. Okay. Now we have expectation of x to be less than 1. And x is the number of number of monochromatic subsets in F. Okay. Now, what can we say about probability that x is equal to 0? It should be greater than 0, actually. Otherwise, okay, so what values x can take? So x can take 0, 1, 2, up to L. Okay. Now say, assume that probability of x is equal to 0, then every value, so this every, probability that x is greater than equal to 1 will be 1. Okay, so it will imply that expectation will be greater than equal to 1, because when you are like, okay, so what was expectation like? So expectation, alternate definition of this thing was probability that x is equal to 0 times 0 plus probability that x is equal to 1 times 1 plus so on. So all this will be like positive terms, and this will be 0. So we'll have probability that x is equal to 1 times 1 plus times L, and so this will be greater than equal to just like directly sum of probabilities, because L is greater than equal to 1, and like subsequent numbers are greater than equal to 1. So, and this is, we know, is equal to 1, because here we assume under this assumption. So if you didn't get it, it's not an issue. I'll upload it later. But what I want to say is, if expectation of x we got less than 1, then probability of x equal to 0 is greater than 0. And what was x? Number of monochromatic subsets. So we are telling that probability that x is equal to 0, which is number of monochromatic subsets equal to 0, is greater than 0. So it means that there is a coloring which ensures that no subset is monochromatic. So that is what we proved. So I guess you'll be having some concerns, so you can ask me. Yeah, so like, does anyone have any concerns? Like, they can ask me actually. So if you want to recollect, I can just recollect. So what we did, so these are step-by-step stuff which we did. So what we showed, okay, so this is, so I told that this is the case, okay. And then we upper bound, so we sort of, so each of this expectation was this thing, which we showed. So this is less than 2 to the power, so this is equal to this. And since L was less than 2 to the power k minus 1, we had this being less than 1. And I showed that if expectation of x is less than 1, then probability that x is equal to 0 is greater than 0. Now, what is x is equal to 0? It is nothing but saying that there is a coloring such that every subset is not monochromatic. Okay. So we are telling that probability of that happening is greater than 0. So it means that there is some coloring which achieves our purpose. Hence, the theorem is proved. So in case you want to ask any doubt, you can ask actually. So does anyone want to ask? Like, you can ask, it's not an issue. Or at least can someone tell whether they understood what I told?
Yeah, other than this, I was thinking, so if it's really tight, so if like, can
Yeah,
you
it's
really
sort of
give me
tight.
a family of 2 power k minus 1 subsets? Can you,
2 to the
for any n, can you show me a family of 2 power k minus 1 subsets, so that no matter how you color, you know,
for 2 to
there
the,
has to be a monochromatic.
okay, so for 2 to the k minus 1, I don't have anything with me, but there is a theorem like for 4 to the power k actually.
Okay. If there are at least 4 power, I mean, there is a family of 4 power k subsets,
Yeah.
so that.
Yeah. And the fun thing is they don't give construction. Like, they again go by this probabilistic method, like this using expectation and all, to say that there is one example where you can't do this thing.
Okay. I see. Now, okay, now they take probability over all the family of sets, and then show that the probability of this happening, having a monochromatic
Coloring.
nice.
Yeah. So this is what I had to show today. But I can someone, especially from the second years, can they confirm, like some part will be unclear, but yeah, can someone confirm whether they understood or didn't understand some parts, so that
Yes.
The solution was clear. But
yeah.
the thing which I would like to ask, that given any question, how do we like think, or how do we approach the problem so that we know that we can solve this by probability or something like that?
That's
Yeah,
a
so
very
it
tough
comes
question.
by
From
experience.
this
There are
experience,
no
yeah, like
there are no tips really.
Oh,
You
yeah,
I mean, we
yeah,
are learning agents, right?
yeah.
yeah,
I
We
mean, like
learn by
after seeing the solution, it seems like okay, yeah, it's understandable. But before like giving the solution, it seems like how do we apply probability in this thing? Or maybe
actually you
it's
can do
sort
I
of,
this
had
by contradiction without using probability. There is something
yeah,
called
yeah,
counting in
yeah,
two ways and stuff.
yeah, yeah. So
okay.
multiple proofs you
Assuming that
have.
for every coloring there is a monochromatic set, and using counting you can show that there has to be at least more than 2 power k minus 1 sets. You can prove that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the opposite. Yeah, that's the way to show. But what I wanted to show you is that you can solve some problems using probability also. Like if you're asking, then if there are problems where they ask you to show like existence and all, and there are some nice unique properties like where you can introduce like probability, like coloring, like they're asking you to color or they're asking you to give something, so you try to define probability space and then you try to solve the problem. So that's one way to look at it, but to be honest, like it only comes with experience. Like if you're as Madhusudan was telling, we are all like learning agents. Like how machine learning algorithms work, we are also like that. So humans. So we see some technique and we learn that technique and we then try to apply it on other problems. If we fail, then we go for some other technique and so on. But if you want, I can refer you to some books where you have such similar kind of problems, so you can get an idea like on what kind of problems can we actually apply this thing. Yeah, but this is a very huge. So this is one, like this is just one small part of something called probabilistic methods, which is actually like quite uh, like one of like quite key area actually when you try to say come up with algorithms or some nice properties in combinatorics. So this is a broader area and this is just one small part which I showed to you. Even you like there are some other areas where you can use linear algebra which which you learned in first year. You can use linear algebra and solve combinatorics problem. All these combinations are actually available. So and these are like sort of brought up with guys who are sort of legends in their field. So probably this was brought by Erdos, as far as I can remember, and then this was brought by Fisher. There's one guy named Fisher. So these are like introduced by some legends. How they get it, even no one knows. Like they say that God feeds them into their mind, and yeah. So those are philosophical stuff. But yeah, yeah. So
Nice.
others like, do they have any queries like who are there? Like, I'm not going to ask you to explain, but just confirm like whether you have anything uh, like Ritvik, do you have anything to ask or like
No, no one. I don't have any.
it was clear, right?
It's clear.
Yeah. I'll stop recording.